All right. Well, welcome everybody to this week's Wine of the Week. Tipple's Brews and Wine of the Week from Gainesville, Florida. Elizabeth and Jeff Beaudre are here to drink some wine and talk about it with you guys because it's fun. All right. All right. Thanks for joining us. This week, we're going to be enjoying the CVNE Monopole Blanco Clásico from Rioja, Spain. So
every time I just glance at it, I think it says Monopoly.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah, it's just one letter off.
I get it. Yeah, sure. Actually, a gorgeous bottle. Looking a lot like. Well, we'll talk about that during the label time.
I recognize that slender bottle, but I don't remember where it's from.
Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Then, so after the intro, let's go to the first slide, and then we'll pour our glasses.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So the CVNE Monopole Seco Clásico from Rioja, Spain. Ratings: Wine Spectator 91, James Suckling 94. So no slouch here, and not unusual for this wine.
Okay.
Though I do tend to say that with the wines I choose, but why would I not, right? Because if they're there, food pairings are great. Grilled swordfish, oysters, Rockefeller, gazpacho, or ceviche. It's got a combination of richness and a nice acidic zinginess that are really flexible for a white.
So should we have saved our shrimp fajitas for tonight?
Yes. Okay. Yes, that would have been really, really good, except that I ate them.
Yeah, we ate them last night. So.
That's right. So, all right, let's stop sharing. Okay. And if you guys have not already done so, and I suspect you have, let's pour some wine.
Everyone else is drinking.
That's for you.
Thank you.
All right. So
Jeff's just throwing wine everywhere.
Well, yeah, I know. I was trying to do I was swirling my glass and I over swirled. All right. So optimal serving temperature on this, 40 to 45 degrees. I like to throw it in the refrigerator for a good hour before I drink it. To get it down to that temperature. If you put it in well ahead of time, you're going to go all the way down to 33 degrees or so, 32, whatever your refrigerator set to. Then it will need a few more minutes to warm up. It will still get there and give you all the luscious qualities that we will be discussing.
So, and then Linda said the cork smells like lemon, but it tastes like green apple initially.
I love it. Yeah. Well, coming out of the gate hot. I like it. Yes.
Definitely. I get the green apple. Does it smell like lemon?
Yeah.
Can I smell it?
Would you like to smell the cork? Yes. I would go lime. But yes. A nice tart citrus.
Yeah.
A lot of green apple on the palate. Right?
Either Brian or Julie, licorice and cloves.
Getting licorice cloves. All right. So I like that. So this is a 100% Viura grape, Rioja, right? Also known as Macabeo. But they actually age it in and add a little bit of sherry.
Oh.
Yeah. Dry sherry to this. So therefore, you're going to get this really cool spice quality, a nuttiness. Think about something maybe a little almondy, though I've heard it described that way. To me, I would go more cashew. And that's one of the really cool things about this wine.
Is that they put the sherry in it?
So you get this kind of a richer side of tropical citrus, right? So maybe Meyer lemon. Or lime, green apple. When you kind of breathe it out, you get a little bit of that nuttiness, and then in between, and we'll get this especially as it warms up, you'll get an herbiness. So the herbiness will come from the grape.
Okay.
The nuttiness, the spiciness comes from the sherry.
Okay.
Right, and a little bit of barrel effect in there.
We do have some comments.
Okay.
So Rachel smelled bourbon or something like that and tasted barrel. And then the Hogsets, nutmeg. Oh, Harriet said nutmeg and cloves.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I definitely like the nutmeg call. I'm not sure I'm getting clove, but hey, I'm open
Well,
for it.
we've got two
I mean,
people
it's going to
getting
be a
clove,
minute.
so.
Yeah. And that bourboniness. So you're getting a little bit of alcohol warmth, right? From that sherry. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
It
David
is.
says green apple and just disappeared on us. Hold on a second. Green apple and citrus transition to whiskey on the back end.
Right.
And then a lot of Chardonnay characteristics from Chris.
Mm.
I feel that way too. A lot of Chardonnay characteristics.
I totally go there.
But this is a completely different grape.
Completely different.
Okay.
Yes. Viura. So we'll go into a lot of the, I'm going to discuss Viura in
Okay.
detail, as we move on, but I want to do it kind of in line to keep my notes straight, right? So age worthiness, we cover this usually with the white, it's minimal.
Right.
But these guys are really cool in the way that they do it. They have high acid, high quality grapes, a little higher alcohol in this. We're at 13.5% for a white,
wow.
right?
Huh.
By the way, careful everybody. Glug down your white wine. This guy can go 10 plus years.
That's
10 plus years for a white.
shocking for a white.
Right. So what would be the other one that we talk about that's age worthy on a regular basis? German Riesling. What do they have in common? High acid.
Okay.
What they don't have in common is the fact that this has a higher alcohol content and the Rieslings normally have a lower alcohol content, right? But the Riesling has so much acid. So therefore, if we were to put let's put a little kind of, bullet point of the day, separate from the wine term that we will cover, is in white wine, what's more important for making it age worthy, right? Well, because most white wine is fairly modest in its alcohol level, the thing that you see that they have in common there, you can take because the Riesling has high acid, but low alcohol. These guys have high acid, higher alcohol. You can throw the alcohols out, they don't match the high acid. So one of the most important questions to ageable white is acid.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, Julie says she's getting vanilla.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I can definitely go there. But I mean, with that barrel and all these things going on, that nuttiness.
See, if I had tasted this blind, I would have said it was a Chardonnay.
Jeff? Hey, sorry, I may have misheard you. I just want to make sure. You said something about the alcohols don't match between a red and a white or something?
Oh, between a Riesling.
Between a Riesling and a Rioja Blanco, right? So Rioja Blanco has a little higher alcohol and high acid, so it helps it to age. But a Riesling has low alcohol, but high acid.
But you said very high acid.
Very high acid. Okay. So the thing that in the end that they have in common that allows those white wines to age is acid. So to me, that's one of the most important factors as you're assessing a white wine. If you're going to lay it down for a little bit, you need to start with acid.
Okay.
Right.
So are there other grapes that are known for white grapes that are known for being ageable?
There are a few others, but they're really Chardonnay can be very ageable, but it has to be grown the right way. Chardonnay is a very flexible grape. This is a very flexible grape, which we'll talk about its ability. It can express itself many different ways, a lot like Chardonnay. Okay. Chardonnay can be lean and zingy, and that can age. Chardonnay can be very ripe and warm and tropical notes. And you'll see that those are normally the less expensive ones in the grocery stores, and they're not ready to age at all.
They're ready to
drink now, that kind of a thing. But there are ageable Chards. We've had some in the store.
Okay, another question.
Yes.
So sorry. No, but I think you might have just answered it. So I was going to say, because I think of a certain Sauvignon Blancs, especially the ones from New Zealand that are super, and this may seem like a dumb question, but it seems like they're high acid because they're so citrusy, but I don't know, maybe they are ageable, but I guess I just didn't think that they were ageable. So
right, no, that's a very good point. They are extremely high acid. I think the difference tends to be that point in the intrinsic qualities of the grape, because you're right, you don't really see a lot of Sauvignon Blanc that you're going to lay down over time, right? And I think that the bigger difference there is the qualities of aging, where you have Sauvignon Blanc, where when that acid falls off very quickly, can become something that a lot of people, it becomes very caramelly and rich and
Caramely is in sweet.
well, certainly like there's like a just kind of a round, warm flavor to it.
Okay.
You know, it becomes darker. And here's my point on this. I haven't had an aged New Zealand Sauv Blanc,
Okay.
right? But I have had a very high quality aged, or you know, people would say overly aged, Californian Sauv Blanc from an excellent winery. And I loved it.
Oh, okay.
Technically, it was a flaw,
Okay.
but I thought it was absolutely delicious. So I think part of it too comes down to expectation levels within the industry of what something will taste like over time. And because white wines become a little more kind of a buttery caramel, maybe because they get a little darker, like we talked about.
Right.
White wines darken with age, red wines lighten with age. So because they darken with age and they look a little bit more like that, and you would get almost like a creme brulee-ish quality on
Okay.
top of it. If you're with a Chardonnay, you expect that. You're like, okay, that will add on and go with it. This guy has a little bit of that kind of nutty richness. So it will just become more so. And you say, okay, but a Sauv Blanc, because they're known for that zesty punch and maybe minerality, and no one is talking about a Sauvignon Blanc with like a rich caramelly flavor ever, unless you do maybe a Fumé Blanc, but you know, rarely. Because of that expectation, I think people just call it instantly a flaw. But I will tell you, interesting point to bring up, just to throw something that is probably not helpful for anyone as you go learning about wine, but it is an experience I had that, and I thought it was better than the fresh one.
Really?
I loved it. Loved it.
So drink what you like.
Yes. You know, we do say that.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. So, and then both Chris and Robin said the grape itself tastes tropical, reminds them of a Sauv Blanc, but with the barrel, it reminds them of Chard.
I love that call. All right.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the grape and their attributes in a minute, and then be an easier time for me to cover that. But I think you're exactly right. And if somebody loves like a New Zealand Sauv Blanc, this is a different guy, most Rioja Blanco would fit right in there with it.
Okay.
Right. So.
It was funny when responding to Linda, because there was like a moment where I was eating and I kind of like, I was like, did I miss? And he's like, you started responding to us because like we had typed out that type of stuff in the chat.
That's awesome. Oh, by the way, as anyone else noted, we were talking about crossovers and similarities with Riesling. Look at the bottle.
Yeah.
It's a Riesling bottle.
Okay.
Right.
I told you I couldn't remember, but yes.
Yes.
Riesling.
Yes. So that was the one thing I wanted to cover that later too. It looks like a Riesling bottle.
I just think they're very elegant looking bottles. That slender.
That fluted,
Yeah.
slender. Yeah. I do love that sherry concept. You know, I think some point we need to just do like maybe I'll throw in a sherry tasting as well. So you guys, you got to drink some sherry. It's really good. So.
Ready? Next.
Okay. Yes. So we talked about it being aged with sherry. All right. Wine label review. So let's take a look at this guy. We have Monopole Classico, right? Monopole being the brand name, and it is a wine term, which we will discuss in a minute. Not one that word for the vast majority of people walking through a wine store would mean nothing. So I'm going to leave it out for now.
Okay.
Because this is all about you're walking through a wine store, you see something, here's what you can latch onto, right? So we look at it, Blanco Seco. Okay, so you say, all right, so here we are, Blanco, that's in Spanish. I'm going to assume a Spanish white, right? 2018. It's had a little bit of time for a white wine. That's on purpose with this.
Okay.
Though, normally, if you're walking around and you're looking at a white wine, you would want to ask another question on seeing that. You say, wait a minute here. Is this old inventory? Like, what's going on here? You know, I'm thinking 1920, you know, on most, and it is on most white wines within a couple years of the current year. So that would need an explanation. And here they held it back and gave it extra age in the barrel on purpose.
Okay.
but it should raise an eyebrow.
Okay.
So you look back on here, you're like white Rioja. Okay, so it's in Rioja,
So
Spain,
it's naming the region.
right? So you got a name of the region, Monopole, and let's see here, Bodega CVNE. So they've got a little kind of nice little thing about how they're making it, which is almost impossible to read, but it looks cool.
For those of us who have aging eyes.
Yeah, right. Chris and Robin can
Chris
tell
and
me what
Robin
it
are
says.
fine.
But anyway, so you look in here, you can see the importer. The importer doesn't jump out at me as somebody I know. We've talked about that, but like some really famous importers get their own name out there.
Oh, right.
These guys obviously have
Smaller.
a smaller importer.
What does here, this little sticker, this Rioja sticker, is
Right.
that something
So
important?
officially of Rioja. So you're talking about, okay, so
Okay.
somebody, this is an official designated wine
Mm-hmm.
from a certain region. So that's going to give you a higher quality designation, right?
Okay.
And you say, okay, but this, what the sister wine to
Mm-hmm.
this wine would be right next to it for, trying to remember, like $12 less. And you say, well,
Okay.
what's the difference here? So that does get to where you do need to ask some questions, because nobody walking around would understand, well, they would probably assume this guy's the single vineyard or something like that. And it's really about the winemaking style that differentiates this one, because the Monopole Classico doesn't necessarily tell you anything,
Okay.
right? Because it's not a designation within the Spanish wine styles and aging. Classico is a choice the winemaker made, making
Okay.
it a classic style,
Okay.
which is actually a throwback to the 1960s and earlier, that they would work with some of the sherry and that kind of a thing.
So that sherry makes it classical?
The barrel aging, because a
Okay.
lot of the modern Rioja is all stainless steel. And that's why it's
Oh.
really zingy. So the
Okay.
sister wine to this is zingy, acidic. That it's exactly that Rioja that I was talking to Chris about that would play with a New Zealand Sauv Blanc.
Okay.
All right. If you could do this, you could do that. And reasonably so. Really high acid, really beautiful with seafood and that kind of a thing. Whereas this guy's got a little more going on, and it's at an entirely different price point. So,
Okay. So, and then Jerry said it reminds him of a Riesling that has a little minerality.
I like that.
And
So,
then Seco means dry,
yeah, there you go.
evidently.
Yes, they are dry, and there's a reason they throw dry on there, because the grape varietal here, Viura or Macabeo, is made from sweet through dry.
Oh, okay.
So yes, that is a very good point, which I had blown past as I was going through thinking about other things. Seco, so this is telling you it's a dry Rioja. Now, most of what I'm drinking over in the United States is dry, but they make them all the way on a spectrum, like they do with Riesling. That's
Okay.
another thing that they have in common, which is kind of
Yeah,
fun.
that's interesting.
But the other thing that's interesting too is the Viura grape, Macabeo, is also utilized in southern France. So it's not really, there's no German crossover directly, but there's a French crossover.
Huh.
Old world. Okay.
Next.
Yes. All right. So I'm getting here. This is the Viura grape is the most important and the vastly most grown varietal of white grape in Rioja. And it is not only used in these sweet to dry single varietal wines, it is blended with a grape called Glera to make cava, Spain's sparkler.
Huh.
So cava is Glera and Viura, and so it's very important for that as well. And throughout a lot of Spain, it's really better known as Macabeo than Viura.
But in Rioja, they call it Viola.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. It's just used in other areas. Okay, so let's cover some of the flavor profiles that we were talking about before. So honeydew melon, I would go more of the honeydew rind, but I think if you were to drink one with more residual sugar, so sweeter, that you might get more of that honeydew melon. Lime peel, we've talked about that. Lemon verbena, I think is a great way to call. Here we are blending them, calling it things, like Meyer lemon. Okay, so it's in there. Tarragon, have a sip, and the nuttiness of hazelnut, right? So not just from the sherry, which does have a nutty quality, hazelnut quality. The tarragon and hazelnut, and it's really on the nose now too. I mean, to me, there's a lot of Fino sherry on this quality. Like if you like this wine, we should drink a Fino sherry together because it's got a lot of similar qualities, which they do in Spain as an aperitif. And they're so right. We should do it more here. So is it bone dry? Well, yeah, like I say, a lot of times they have it really down to very dry. Medium to light bodied, I can go with that because of the sherry. This guy's a little heavier bodied, so this would be a little outside the norm because.
So more medium than medium light.
Yeah, I would go medium plus
Okay.
for a white
Okay.
on this guy. Tannin, none. Acidity is a good medium acidity on here. It's tamped down with a little bit, but I'm going to tell you, I've had plenty of Rioja Blanco that was not medium acidity. It was very much medium high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And alcohol content, we're at the top of the list.
Yes, we are.
So yes, I do agree. Yeah, kind of a melon quality in there. I get it, but to me, it's more like the melon rind because of the acidity. So, and definitely agree that more and more the tarragon is coming out.
Yeah, I feel like I'm tasting that and
Kind of a
smelling it.
bright green herbiness. It's not grassy, so that's separate from Sauv Blanc. There, I would not go grassy on this guy.
I feel like I get the sherry more like on the back end. Yeah, because on the front end, I'm getting so much acid. You get the sherry on the back end.
I agree. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Once that overwhelming tart fruit goes by,
Yeah.
and then you're getting all these secondary qualities that kind
Right.
of fill your mouth, almost with like a fog of like it's like this
Fog
wafting.
is just on your mind because
Yeah,
we were
like,
walking through the fog.
So much
last
fog
night.
right now. Okay, so we've covered some of the these guys. Flexible grape, cover that. Can be it's in cava, it can be sweet to dry. So okay, let's go ahead and find.
Are we finding out where it is?
All right, so let's go with the wine term first. Monopole is a wine term, not
Okay.
just the name of this brand. All right.
Okay.
It's an appellation or other designated wine growing region controlled entirely by one winery. So it's like making a copy a Xerox, right?
Mhm.
Or a tissue a Kleenex.
It's a brand.
It's a
Name,
brand
like-
that controls 100% of that area.
Okay.
Right. So that was the original, and it originated in France during Napoleon's reign. So a monopole, this one is called a monopole because they were the first in that region to apply, and they were originally, monopole was Rioja white.
Okay.
They controlled, it was 1915, and they were the first one, and that was what it was. It was them. And
So
that's why they get that.
is it because of same root, like Monopoly?
I'm sure it is. I
Mhm.
mean, it's too close
Yeah.
not to be, right?
Yeah, it really does. So when I'm looking at it and seeing Monopoly, that really is kind of what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so can you explain, it says it here, or designated wine growing region, but the term appellation,
Mhm.
do you use that worldwide, or is it specific to like Spain? Or I know we use it in the United States as well, but I
Right.
don't remember you saying it with France.
Yes. All right. Appellation is worldwide.
Okay.
Appellation is any location
Mhm.
that creates unique character in the wine.
Okay.
All right. So whether it's from soil, from climate, usually both, that kind of a thing. But if they are able to prove that this creates, so we've got Cabernet Sauvignon here and Cabernet Sauvignon there, and they taste differently,
Mhm.
then they prove that and prove that it has good qualities, and then they create an appellation.
Okay.
So,
Can wind do that too? Because I
Sure.
know okay.
yep, it can be part of it. In fact, in the Rhone
Mhm.
in France, It's an important part of it because of the Mistral.
Okay.
They blow throughout the year really strongly, and it thickens skins and it changes the quality of the grape.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Would you like me to advance?
Please. All right. So what are we dealing with here? All right. So we've got a grape that is by itself pretty balanced. I mean, there's a lot of acid in these grapes. And there's a nice amount of character in the peripheral zone and on the skin. So it does give you some wonderful, herby and fruit characteristics, but acid is incredibly important to this grape. So this guy's, I would say, a little bit more, probably 60-40 about the inside,
Okay.
Which is not uncommon for the white
No.
grapes.
So going back a few slides, because every time I take a sip of it, I think green apple,
Right.
but that wasn't on that slide at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know why. I mean,
Okay.
honestly,
Is it not typical to the grape? Is it just like this?
I think green apple almost every time I have a
Really?
Rioja Blanco.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're not going to put everything on every time.
So we need to
but-
write into Wine Folly and tell them.
No, well, I'm not. Far be it from me to correct wine folly.
Okay.
I'll tell you that. But part of that too would be the Fino. All right. So the sherry, the dry sherry, they have a very apple quality. as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So,
All right.
so it probably pumped it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I just hear pump up the jam in my head. I mean, all right, ready?
Okay. Yes. Now I'm just thinking of any kind of word that would apply to apple that would
Pump
rhyme
up
with
the
jam.
apple, pump it up.
Yeah, because I was like, the quince wouldn't work. By the way, it doesn't taste like apple, everyone. It tastes like quince. Because you know why? We're that fancy. And that's how much I think of you guys. A lot. You guys are quince worthy. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So where are we? We're in Rioja. We're right here in the center.
Okay.
Right.
Right here in the center of the
growing latitude
Yeah.
for the northern hemisphere.
Okay.
Right. You're right. That's
Because I
specific.
was like, at first I thought you were saying the center of Spain. Like,
Oh yeah, no.
that's not the center of
No,
Spain.
no, the northeastern side of Spain,
Okay.
but right in the center of the growing latitude in the northern hemisphere, right? So I want to, drink some wine from here, maybe find
Is
an
there
island.
anything there?
No. there's not. Okay, so here we are, zooming in. Here's Rioja, and we'll go in a little closer. So. So all of this is considered Rioja. Ribera del Duero is also, but we're talking about classic Rioja, right? So right here, and let's zoom in. So Rioja has three major subregions: Rioja Alta, Rioja Alavesa, and Rioja Oriental, which is also called Rioja Baja because it's the lower elevation. So Oriental is obviously a reference to it being Eastern,
Okay.
and it's the easternmost, but it's also the lower elevation. We're in Alta, highest elevation, which makes total sense.
Yes.
The higher altitudes offset some of the effect of the very warm Spanish climate. So that is one of the reasons that Rioja is considered traditionally the highest quality growing region in Spain.
Well, I think it's for sure the most well-known.
It is very much, very much the most well-known and considered the highest quality because they can get more character. They've got that altitude to kind of cool it off a little bit, get a lot longer growing season. They've got the soil is limestone and clay that, it's going to give it a lot of minerality. It's going to dry fast. And it has no organic matter.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I love it when we talk about these areas because there's nothing else that would grow there.
Right.
Let's throw grapes on it.
That's true. You got lichens and you have grape.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. So here's what it looks like. There's,
I would have looked at that and
elevations.
said Spain or
Oh,
maybe
nice.
Portugal, but yeah.
So, and you can see like the soil there, you're talking just really dry, just limestone and clay. It's not helping things a whole lot. I mean, there's some trees struggling along there, but I wouldn't call it verdant,
No.
but it's perfect. You know, one of the things I do like is, boom, boom. I always love looking at this map and saying, where doesn't wine grow in Spain? Because the whole place is so hot, so dry with that soil that, you know, I'm assuming used to be underwater a long time ago. So full of clay and limestone that, you know, where can you not grow grapes?
Yeah.
Good grapes in
Mhm.
Spain.
Yeah, it's all over.
It's all over.
Mhm.
So here we go. And there's another shot with some color. So anyway, yes, once again, me,
I say something one time.
one time
It's
she
like,
said
"Look,
she
I'll
liked,
make her happy by doing this."
yes, she said she liked to see the vineyards, you know, in the fall when they turn color. And I don't blame you, they're beautiful. But you can see the hill, and, you know, it's hilly and then it gets up to the mountains there. So, all right. So CVNE. And
Okay,
that's
wait,
what-
can you go back?
Mhm.
So what's interesting about this picture too is like some of them are very, very green still,
Mhm.
and some of them are turning. So I'm assuming those are different grapes.
Yep.
So just ones that are more affected by the season and they need to go ahead and pick those, and the other ones they leave on longer. that are
Right,
still-
right. Yeah,
okay.
those would be late ripening grapes. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
So the grape itself, like the grapevine itself kind of tells you if it's time to pick it or not.
I think it certainly has, yeah,
Okay.
it definitely has. It changes and has an effect. And I think that looking at the leaves makes total sense to say, okay, the darker ones are probably Tempranillo. We're talking about
Okay.
Rioja.
Mhm.
And Tempranillo means early, right?
Okay.
So those are the ones that already ripened, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
All right, CVNE, Campagna Vinocola de Norte de España. All right, so
Okay.
CVNE, interestingly, is a lot of times called CUNE.
Okay.
They changed it to CUNE, same place. They're technically, their name is CVNE, but a lot of people, and a lot of times, even on some of their wines, they put CUNE.
Huh.
Yeah, I haven't seen exactly why they do that. I think maybe it's to give them, like, instead of initials, a name,
Right.
you know, for people to hang their
Yeah,
hat
that
on.
makes sense.
It may be for only Americans. I don't know. I haven't gotten a good answer to that. I'm sorry, but I can tell you it shows up both ways.
Look, this makes it easier for Americans to understand.
Oh, look,
Here you go.
You've got to just dumb it down. So,
We did a tasting that was that, right? A couple years ago. That was
Yes.
just Kuhn wines, right? Kuhn.
yes,
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was like 3 years ago.
yeah, we did. It was about 3 years ago. This was not in it at the time, and but yeah, we did. They have a lot of great Rioja wines. So, and they're
Wow,
all in.
good memory.
Yeah, wow. Sharp guy. He likes working with us. So
There
what
you
can I
go.
say? Anyway, so CVNE Monopole versus Monopole Classico. So we have the Monopole in the store and we have the Monopole Classico. Same grape, same vineyards. It's the wine making that makes it Classico. So the standard is all stainless steel production, which I mentioned before. This one utilizes wood aging and sherry casks and some sherry. Right. So, which is a throwback to the 1960s style and earlier. So that's why they call it the Classico. So there may be some areas in the world where you might see something that says Classico and it means a difference, like maybe something designated. But in this case, it's a style they chose and a word they chose to describe it. So, why is it called Monopole, right? What lives up to that name? So, like I said, this guy was first registered in 1915 as as the white wine of Rioja, thus the name Monopole, which they took from the French. And they said, hey, white Rioja, that's us. Boom, Monopole.
Okay.
And so they were given that name. And
Over 100 years ago.
right.
Very cool.
CVNE
Mhm.
is actually a family-owned company. They own 7 vineyards now, but they started in 1879. And they really make a very big point that they have always been family owned and run. This is the 5th generation, still
Wow.
family owned and run by the Rioja de Asua family. Yep. And they have a direct hand in it. They're not the winemakers, but they have a direct hand
Okay.
in the direction of every single winery. And they make some amazing wines.
Yeah,
Really great
that's
Rioja.
150 years, the same family. That's
Right?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff.
Mhm.
So let's take a look. We've got, they're the brothers that started it. And actually, this is specifically within the Monopole vineyard, because when you
Okay.
look at the CVNE stuff, they've got 7 vineyards. You get a lot of pictures, but this is specifically aging within the Monopole vineyards. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not like, and I don't know if they do it there or not. Maybe this is a stupid question, but like underground, like in France and Italy, what we've seen, because it's so
Right.
old, you know,
Right.
this looks like a more modern place.
It
And
could be.
maybe it's just the lighting, because I mean, maybe the walls look kind of like they're stone.
Yeah, I mean, this could be buried down in the ground a little with only the roof being above.
Oh, okay.
I'm not quite sure, but that looks plausible to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very pretty, but
Mhm.
to me, it looks very like crisp and modern almost. Mhm.
Yeah, well, they do have some great winemaking going on.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you've been doing it 150 years, you're probably pretty good at it.
Right, yeah, their CVNE, their Crianza, the Rioja, their, you know, and then they have the Vigna Real series is a whole
Sorry.
separate one.
I've swallowed funny.
Oh, breathing wine is hard.
Oh, yes. Sorry, everyone.
What's up, Pablo?
Hey, just a stupid
Oh, right.
interjection, but at the far end of this picture, is that a picture of the thing, or does it just go on forever?
That's a good question. I don't know. Because it kind of looks like a picture of this. Or maybe it just comes in a little bit and it keeps going on. I'm not sure.
I think it's an infinitely long chamber that loops in on itself, that if you try to leave, you just come back where you
That's right. You're stuck. If you go in there, you're stuck there forever, just
Right.
drinking their wines for sustenance.
Just
So-
like in Ragnarok, I got it, yep.
That's horrible.
Oh, you just have to drink wine all the
Oh,
time.
no. And I love the Ragnarok.
That-
Hey, look, if we can reference Thor Ragnarok in all of our tastings, then that would be preferable.
go.
That would be good. So,
Next.
yep. All right. So here we are at the discussion of points, right? So this guy got some hefty points. So we're talking about 92 and 94 points.
Mhm.
That would put it in outstanding, a wine of superior character and style. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with calling this a very good wine with special qualities. Like I always say, and I'm saying this mostly for the recording, not for the current people that have heard me say it 20 times. But if you were to buy a wine that was very good, that's a success. You know,
Right.
a lot of people say, seem to behave as if, oh, well, if it has 87 points, what a failure. And absolutely not the case. We can go to a good solid wine as well. I don't know if anyone will go there tonight, but that, you know what, that could be okay too. Nothing wrong with a good solid wine that you're like, I'm glad I drank it.
Mhm.
I've said that about wines. I'm glad I drank it,
Inexperience.
Yeah, I'm not going to go out of my way for it, but
You would not revisit though.
probably not. Yeah, probably not. Like a good solid wine, because there's so much good wine in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of it's in our store.
And there's a lot of good wine in our store. Probably not all from in the whole world, but
Yeah. So
Mhm.
anyway. But
Okay. So we can start putting the scores in.
yep. Go ahead and throw in what you
can
guys are
put them in
thinking.
the chat. Chris says a 93.
Hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Brenda 92, Linda 91.
Nice.
Well, that's gotta be
You know
Brian.
what? You know what? I really felt like I had a soft audience with Brian.
Julie's just shaking her.
I am so happy. I really felt like it was going to be a winner for Brian.
Yeah,
So.
no, I love that Brian has extremes of views. So,
Right.
you know, yes. Hogsets 9091.
Okay.
I think we're waiting for because okay, Paul and Linda,
Okay.
it's Snyder's and Consuelo.
Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Paul.
Robin 91.
All right.
I've never seen your name as Rob, so I was like, who's Rob? Oh, Robin.
It's because Chris typed that.
Oh,
So
okay.
Ah.
I'm lazy. And it's like, Rob.
I noticed he typed out his entire name. All 5 letters. Julie 90.
Okay. All right. Paul and Linda, 92 and 89.
I missed those.
Yep.
I was so distracted by not Rob.
Right. All right. So,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I would have done more like a 90 because to me, it reminds me so much of Chardonnay, although I
Okay.
like it more as it's warmed up.
Hmm.
And I didn't dislike it. It's just, for me, it has so many Chardonnay qualities that,
Mhm.
yeah.
You like when the sherry qualities come out a little bit more?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the sherry's coming out a lot more as it warms up. Why don't more wineries use this technique and age like even reds into sherry? I mean, I feel like that's like a match kind of made in heaven for a red, like a sherry mixed with a red.
I think that would be absolutely delicious. And I agree with you. I think it's about more and more of having something, because if you're putting a little sherry in here, you're technically creating a fortified wine. But not really, because fortified means we're the liquor. So I guess they're just trying to make it, more about their own direct efforts. And that would be why. That's my best guess.
Seems like
Like, I don't
something
really have a good answer.
Somebody should do though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think Tempranillo with the with a red, with the Rioja, with the darker sherry would be fantastic.
So do these guys do a Tempranillo as well? Or do they-
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Oh, very much. Yeah, I mean, not Monopole. Monopole is its own vineyard. It's one of the 7,
Okay.
but they have a different CVNE vineyard that does Tempranillo.
Okay.
They have several actually. Some under the CVNE label, one of them under the Vigna Real, which Linda has enjoyed several times because it is spectacular. Yeah, the stuff's fantastic. They have some amazing ones. Rachel and Dave, 90 and 89.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
And they said they're like Linda and Paul.
yeah.
Close.
Close.
Of. I mean, yeah, Paul's a little higher with the 92, but mhm.
But I agree.
Close.
Like, to me,
Mhm.
the thing that makes this jump up for me in
Mhm.
a Rioja Blanco review
Mhm.
is the sherry. Right.
Yeah.
So because a lot of Rioja Blanco is very tasty. But to me, it's very much like, a light thing that you have with a salad or ceviche.
Sure.
It's kind of not noteworthy,
Okay.
but this has so much more character.
It does.
And that's where it drew my attention, which is why I wanted to feature it.
Sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's sister wine
Mhm.
that doesn't have the sherry.
That doesn't
then.
have the sherry.
Okay.
No.
So this out of the 2, you like this one better.
This one definitely jumped out and caught my attention.
Okay.
The other one's delicious. And I have people that love Rio Blanco in the store. Like they come
Okay.
in, they buy it all the time.
Okay.
And justifiably so. I get that. It's a
Mhm.
good wine.
Mhm. You just like the complexity.
I
that
love the
sherry
complexity
adds.
that this adds to it. And
Okay.
I think it made it something special and worth tasting. Like if we were drinking the other, we'd say, all right, this is a good fresh wine. It would go with ceviche. It would go with a nice salad.
Mhm.
That's great. That's a good wine. Give it a 90, that kind of a thing. But I think this one is more fun
Mhm.
with the extra complexity. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
I like it.
All right. Let's thank some sources.
All right. Hold on.
Without whom it would just be me talking. Nobody wants that. I do enough of that all day, right? So Wine Folly, always, they're amazing. Thank you, Wine Folly. 750.com, Wikipedia, RiojaWine.com, CVNE.com, Wine International Association, the Rioja picture, one of those 2. And Vine Pair. I got some great information to share today.
Yeah,
from all
I
those
haven't
people.
seen previously the Wine International or the Vine Pair on the sources. So new
Right.
sources. Yeah,
I try to keep it fresh.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So
All right.
before we reveal, because the next one's the reveal, right?
The next one is the reveal.
Okay,
Yes.
so before we reveal, any last comments, questions? Paul, ask your questions now.
That's right. You always have good questions. You hold them until we stop recording.
I'm not gonna think of it until we end, so.
Okay. All right. Fair
All
enough.
right.
All right.
Okay, so next week,
All right. So next week we are going to Italy. I lied. We're actually going to Santa Clara Valley, California to drink something you would swear was from Italy. We are drinking the Sagrantino. So that is a single varietal that I feel certain no one has had before, because I just had it for the first time last week and had to reach out to find it.
okay,
I will tell you guys why my research drew me to this wine next week, because, you know,
could it be all the awards that it has won?
well, it has won some awards, right? And the fact that Guglielmo looks like Guglielmo, and it makes me think of googly
It
eyes.
does look like
right,
Guglielmo.
right.
But I mean,
but those
you-
guys have a fascinating story during their time in California as well. We'll have a lot of cool things to talk about
Okay,
next week.
and it's got to be an Italian family that's in California, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on. It's like if I had a vineyard,
Right.
if for those of you who don't know, my main name is Scafuti. If we put that on a bottle, they'd be like, oh, Italian.
Oh yeah, man. You don't think that'd be like
100%.
Irish, French,
Probably not.
Polish?
Probably
No?
not.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right. So
okay, I'm
the
excited.
Guglielmo family making some wonderful wines. Look, you guys are gonna love this wine. I'm super excited about sharing this wine with you guys. I went out, did a little research, got to taste this one, and was just instantly said, this is the next wine of the week. This is what we're going to finish right before Christmas with. Food pairings: beef Wellington with mashed potatoes and cream spinach, Italian vegetable and beef stew, big hearty meals. You kind of can't go wrong.
Steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This will make you guys happy. I guarantee it. And it's got a great story. It's going to be a fun night. And so that will be the last one before Christmas, right?
Right,
So-
because we are skipping the 21st.
We're skipping the 21st.
Right.
It's just so close to Christmas. And that will be right after we do our Christmas wine tasting. I think almost all you guys are going to be there. I'm
For the Christmas
figuring,
wine tasting.
so.
Yeah. So we have one on the 14th, but then we'll skip the 21st, but then we're back on the 28th.
Yes, we're right back to it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. So, and if I have time over Christmas, then when we come back on the 28th, we're going to do like a fun game.
Oh,
Yes, because I won't be teaching, so I can maybe do it for anyway.
that sounds like fun.
Yes, for any of the you who have played Kahoot, Robin may have. See, yes. Then we're gonna do a Kahoot game. As
All
long
right.
as I have time. Yep.
Well, that sounds fantastic. All right.
Okay.
So
So
let's
stop sharing.
stop sharing, and thank you guys for coming. So raise of hands, because I know I have a lot of red wine lovers out there. Who found this wine to be really cool, even though you're a red wine lover? And Brian, I know you're a white wine lover.
Yeah, I'm glad I drank
Right?
it. Yeah, I like the
Right?
Yeah,
It's super
I
fun.
like the
Yeah.
complexity of it. For
Okay, good.
white, it has a lot of
Yeah.
nuances. Mhm.
Awesome.
Okay.
Oh, and we'll talk about after this. I have the wine lineup. God, I hope I brought it home. Of the Christmas wine tasting, or the holiday wine tasting, is all set. So,
Okay. All right. So.
all right, let's have a toast. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you. And
Cheers, everyone.
we'll see you again next week.